In video number 2, I tried to figure out how many canes I needed and how much clay. And in this video, I will try to start adding the canes, slice it up and place it on. And now we will see if my math is correct. Do I have enough canes to cover this or not? Cleaning my workspace so I can start adding the canes. And for the small bits I will use the rubber tip tool. Nails do not work so well, so I use a rubber tip to push things. In order to make it easier for the first, the front, I cut the clay up, base clay up, so I can start working on the table, because the chest of the kitten I think I want to work like this. The other things I can add while it's on the pot, but I'll try first using the table, because I want these to go into each other. So I use the zigzag blade. It's not so super important, but because the canes will cover the gaps, and when I'm done I will make a super thin layer of clay and put on the inside when it's baked, to make it the inside prettier. I think the name of the cane I'm using for the chest is a feather cane. You can use it for leaves also, but I want to use this for the chest, on the chest of the kitten, to make, I think that will look nice. Slicing it as even as I can, and so thick as I know I want the other slices to be. This way, when the clay will not move so much, distorting when I work on this later. I want to place the canes so close to each other that they close all gaps when I work on this afterwards, and for it to be for them to hold their shape, they need to be the same thickness. Testing out the pattern a while ago, I did not have a plan. This is the first time I do this, so I did not know what I wanted. But this will be one wild kitten, a flower kitten. If you do not push the clay, the cane bits onto the background layer, you can remove them if you are very soft-handed. So I just testing out a little bit. And think I want that to be there. That's the fun part. Figuring out what you want to do. And my plan was to have a black gutter between the different patterns. So the rubber tool, the tip tool, is very nice to use. So the line, the thin gutter line, do not get squished. It's easier when you do place it with your hand that you make it, you damage it. So a tool like that can be very nice. I think you find it in any craft store, and I do not think they are very expensive. But if you work with small details, it's worth having. The feather cane do have many different lengths on the layers, so to avoid getting the black strip damaged when I start to push to secure the things, I need to be very careful and have the black clay go in every dent, as close as I can to the feather, or else it will be squished and lose its shape. That's what everything. If you want it to stay in a shape, a flower to stay put, not moving, you have to fill all the gaps, so we have nowhere to go. If it can move and you push, it will flatten and go over. Yeah, it will go where it wants. Where is space? Is it space left anywhere that's not filled with something? Then the clay will try to move away from your hands or the thing you push with. That's just how it is. Now I'm placing the gutter where I think I want the clay to, the canes to be, but that's not set in stone. And the blue one, the purple and blue, needed something on the outside. It was so little contrast. And later you will see that I could have probably made the outer layer, the outline, a little thinner. So but just placing it, making it the outside to make it stand out, so it do not disappear. That was my thinking. A little bit thick white. Next time I'll make the white a little bit thinner. Here I've added quite many slices on the flower pot, and but I got a little bit left to do. Now just cleaning the table a little bit, and the small snakes, small canes, they're very useful to fill the gaps. Remember, if there are any holes or space between the slices, the clay will be mashed. No, it's a little, just a little bit left to do. A little bit left to fill on the edge, lower edge. If the slices are even, then they will not move much when you smooth them afterwards. So making even slices is very important if you want the shape of the cane to stay the same. And filling gaps, forming a pattern. And making small dots, small canes, they will fill in the small gaps that will be. Like on the top you see here, there's space left with nothing in it. I got to fill it afterwards before I start I could have made the flower petals into a full flower, but for this one, where I did not need, I did not know where how the pattern would be. I prefer to have them as singles and just make up the flowers as I go, because many of them will be half flowers, like the one at the top, and this way I can use all of the cane. Filling in gaps where I see, I know the clay will move, so filling the gaps. I want the blue flowers to stay almost as they are, so it's important for me to find the gaps and fill them before I start doing anything else. You need quite a lot of games to make a large project like this one. But I think in the last video I did try to find out how many centimeters of cane I needed. I think I got enough to fill all of the kitten's body. It's always best to have more than you need, because if you cut the wrong thickness, then you can just take a new slice and continue. You do not run out. Only thing I would have made more of was the small snakes, the small thin canes, bull-eye canes. Because they are really useful to fill in the gaps. And for this freeform pattern, they are very nice. I can shape them, make rectangles out of them, and even triangles if that is needed. Yeah, I'm warming it up with my hands. I'm almost ready to take a sheet of paper and start to make the surface smooth and the canes moving towards each other, filling the gaps. The heat of the air made the clay softer, so if I need to add a little dot somewhere, I can slide it between the ones already onto the pattern. And I do that before I take the final closing the spaces, making the slices equal thick, so it's a soft sheet. The sheet will be a soft sheet, but not so much bumpy. It doesn't matter for me if it's not all the gaps are filled now, because when I have baked it one time, I will go in after. Well, I'll show you what I'm going to do. But first I take the most important. I want most of it to be nice before I bake it. And all kinds of texture you want, that you need to do when the clay is soft before you bake it the first time. And if you got something you want to change, you do it now. You can polish it afterwards using sandpaper, but it's much easier to do it. Be careful when you make it. Go slower, but it speeds up the work after. Like the gap in between the feather canes, that can not easily be fixed afterwards. That I had to do first. Now, see you in the next video. I'll texture and decorate them with more.